Thank you, everybody. We are here for the October 11th Public Safety Committee meeting. I am here. Councilmember Fullerton and Councilmember Baldwin are both here. So we'll go into East Pierce Fire and Rescue Monthly Report. Chief Parkinson.
All right, my report begins on page 3, I think, but there are like 3 different numbers on. So our monthly stats start there. The first graph on that page, top grid, just shows how the station is performing year over year. Station 111 is the one that's all the way there. Bottom chart on there just shows how we're performing overall on response times, as far as average and at the 90th percentile. Flip over to page 4, you'll see stats specific to each station service area. So you see that Bonney Lake again on the far left there, just because of proximity of average across the board. At the average and at the percentile. Bottom of page 4 there just shows that we're basically due for about a flat year on calls. So helping them. Page 5, the top chart just shows on the far left both engine and medic 111, so both units. Both pretty substantial uptick in call volume. That they are handling calls for likely dropping down in thunder to cover calls or bottom chart is just our normal breakout that shows what type of calls. Medical. Page 6 just shows aid given and aid received. So basically, about every other day, we send a unit out of the district to help somebody else. And then last, page 7 just breaks out transports. Normal stat there is, like I said, about 75% of our calls are medical in nature, and of those incidents that we run, about 2/3 of the time. Bottom graph is just a tracker for the Tahali. For some reason, we had a call drop off in September compared to the previous months, but it's typically producing about a call. That is all in stats. As far as other monthly updates, if you weren't aware, we did have one of our firefighters die off duty last Wednesday. So while hunting this massive, what it sounds like a massive party at the event, so he leaves behind. He was 45, so he leaves behind wife, 26-year-old son, 17-year-old. At Calvary Community Church next Friday at 3. I will forward that in. What pitch?
Is that the 21st or the 14th?
That is the 21st. 21st. Sorry, I said Friday after this Friday.
You said 3 p.m.?
Yes.
Is that open to the public?
As of now, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll when I send that final information, I'll work out something. So we have a liaison on site 21st. Limited how often she can make decisions. On the happier end of things, we did receive notification midway through last month that we were awarded firefighters federal funding, no local match, $5.267328 million over those 3 years. Pick up entirely locally, since us all taxpayers. So we're in the recruitment process for those 12 firefighters right now. Our date's good. And because of that, our original intent would be to be back out on the ballot. Pushes us out to the earliest in 2024. That's a good win for all of our taxpayers. Open house was on October 1st. We had a great turnout. It had been since 2019 since we had that. So we weren't quite sure who would actually show back up, but we think we had close to folks for helping staff the event with our draft budget is underway and been presented to the finance committee. Just as far as good to know is right now we're coming in at the low 2% year over year in taxpayers. We're happy with where that is trending. Taxpayers are so far, given inflation and everything. Yeah. And as you know, Station 111 is now Mount Bonney Lake. So the amount of dirt that's moving over there, but it's making great progress so far. The other couple stations right behind it, absolutely all of it on track to be out to bid by the end. Between 2,000 and 3,000. It's hard to keep track. A lot.
Was firefighter Conover at 114?
He was assigned. He was originally a Sumner prior to East Pierce, and then that is all I have.
For the good of the order. All right, we'll move on to, thank you, Chief. We'll move on to item number 2, Bonney Lake Police Department monthly report. Chief Jeter.
Thank you. Month for us as well. I think you will see a theme if you look at this fairly closely, how many calls here involved weapon of some sort, either a firearm or a knife. We did have the shooting at the View by Vintage, fatal, thankfully. We have the suspect in custody, had him in custody right away, officer. That. We also had a shots fired call at the Walmart. A victim found somebody rummaging through his vehicle. Says that the suspect pulled a weapon on him, so he fired at the vehicle, didn't hit anybody that we can find. Weapon intimidation, road rage type thing. Had another one at Easy Tobacco where someone threw a knife on her. Had no idea who she was, just pulled a knife and kind of went off on her. The breathalyzer analysis revealed 0.43 and 0.08 is the legal limit. So 0.43 is really well done and amazing she was able to walk and talk at that level. So clearly has an issue.
Those are pro numbers.
We had armed robbery in Cedarview where two buddies were drinking together. One decided that the other one owed him money, firearm, and took money from the gentleman. We were able to well. To our stats, that everything continues to trend up. About 30% higher on our call volumes, about 25% more reports. Where we're really getting hit is in the larceny area, which is basically theft. Try to run everything through Dina, local Pierce County. So I know we're keeping Dina busy with that. Burglaries are trending way up. Motor vehicle thefts are trending way up. Motor vehicle collisions are up. Domestic violence is up. One thing too is DUI arrests are way up. We have 32 at this point, at 14 last year. A lot more people, either they're getting caught or there are more people drinking and driving. You can draw your own conclusions to that. So, again, another busy month. Do you have any questions on the Yeah, Mr. Lincoln actually sent that. We weren't, but after Mr. Lincoln notified us there, we did contact the person. We did file a police report. And I'm not sure the status of that. When the gentleman called us back, he was like, well, I don't really want to do anything. I just want to let you know about it. But we're trying to follow up and see if we can find find out where it was. We're not even sure if it was in the city or not, but we're taking it because I don't want to give this poor guy the runaround he's already been through enough. But yes, it was not initially reported that we could find after we were made aware.
You know, the county sheriff denies any responsibility for the investigation. It's your fault.
Why we took it. I knew that they weren't going to get this poor guy the runaround. Somebody's safety is at stake. We'll just take it. It just makes more. Find out downstream that it's not. We can always pass them the investigation with a nice little bow on it. Our part.
70 feet from this happened to be out of town, but he said it was basically 70 feet from. So it appears to be, but we were a little frustrated that Pierce County wasn't trying to work with you guys because it was kind of like.
I was not.
Yeah, but our frustration was if you read the eyewitness report, and it's the guy who saved him, the red and white wave boat circled him twice, once swamped him, and the guy put his hands up like, "What are you doing?" And he said, then he took a second pass at me and sunk his boat, the canoe, the motor. He lost a bunch of stuff, and fortunately they were able to have this their boat that passed by.
How old was the kid?
He was an adult. The man was, it appears to be when you see his pictures, maybe about 60, 65. But his father had just passed away, and he tells the story about like 5 days after his father had passed away, and he finally felt like he could go back out in this. It was not the greatest canoe. He said it was makeshift, but he goes, we spent many days fishing, and these kids did this. So we're hoping that we'd love to be able to hear the end of it. That there's at least some kind of a knock and talk with the young voters. We were told, and we haven't seen it, but they actually videotaped it, and it was on TikTok for a short period of time.
They could have
Some
killed
kids.
that.
Yes.
Okay, I'll check and
Yeah.
find out.
That
He
is
could have died, like,
ridiculous.
if somebody, he would have had to swim back. That's just awful.
Anything else for PD report, Chief?
I have a few things, but I can either wait till after the other reports are done or do the order with.
Are they action items we're taking right now?
No.
Okay.
they're FYI.
Yeah,
Okay,
please
so
go ahead.
next question. Okay. First one is this Friday, all three chiefs will be out of town. We're attending that Tuesday night, probably about 8:30. I fly on the plane, and Detective Sergeant Rob Vogue will be in charge. Also got a hold of Sumner Chief Moriarty and Hilton Buckley Chief Alfano and help if we need any help, if we need presence. We'll obviously be available by phone and by email. Physical presence, both chiefs. We are still working through our one vacancy. We have a lateral applicant from Seattle who we would dearly love to have, but he's not so sure that he wants to put him on a ride along. He did our best sales pitch, so the ball's in his court. But if he pulls his application, we are going to look at the entry level to coincide with the class for 2023. Hate to drag a vacancy, but I also don't. Hopefully we'll be able to fill all three at the first of the year if we're not able to get the lateral. Or if we don't get another lateral, I've been told that we have a local fish and wildlife agent that they would kind of work out of our office and who is very interested, but hasn't pulled the trigger yet. If he does apply, we would love to have him and we would change gears, but right now.
Your lateral has done a ride along in Seattle, right? I mean, what is the appeal for that?
The appeal for
Staying in Seattle.
he is maybe getting promoted to we used to call it when we could a street crimes team.
Oh, okay.
So proactive unit looks like he is going to look to get him.
Gotcha.
They are moving out this way. His wife just told me how he found out about Bonney Lake. Friends were talking about this.
Need an encouraging letter from a council member or three. Let us know we can.
We had our Coffee with a Cop event Saturday. Thank you, Councilmember Evans, for showing up. And Councilmember Watson also showed up. Pretty good turnout. We didn't anticipate battling the weather, which was beautiful, the Mariners in the playoffs, and college football. I knew college football was going to be there, but I strategically planned it around the Cougars' loss. But still, I think all in all, we had a pretty good turnout for having other things competing with it. We'll do another one in the spring, and we may or may not do it on a Saturday. We tried to do it on a Saturday this time, which was different. The National Coffee with the Cop Day was Thursday, but we tried a Saturday just to see if we get more people, because it's for the working folk to be there during the day, and then it's a little late in the evening with school trying to get the kids and all that. We'll probably try another Saturday in the spring. We were notified by Yakima Jail that they will not be taking any more of our prisoners. That was our long-term commit.
Yeah.
It was reasonable. They will not be taking outside of county. So we have to look for jail for our long-term commits. Refresh your memories. You do have 4 guaranteed beds in Enumclaw, but those are more for fresh arrests. Go to jail, we have space. Pierce County usually doesn't hold our long-term commits, and neither will. So tonight, one of the items coming up is a SCORE contract. I've talked to the director at SCORE, and we may be able to get a guaranteed bed rate price for long-term commits. I think that's probably what we'll end up doing, is having at least they're running the numbers right now to see. I would venture to guess that we're probably 1 to 1.5. It's our average daily population, by virtue of them being the only one booking prisoners. So we'll probably be looking to have at least 1, if not 2, guaranteed beds at SCORE and keep those open for commits.
How many do we have at Yakima right now?
Got the bill today, 2.
2. Okay. And that's usually anything over what duration?
Usually 30 days.
30, okay.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it can be anything for over 2 weeks. Price on the west side being double what it is over there.
Yeah.
We try to get them over there as quickly as we could.
Yeah.
But they haven't since COVID, honestly.
Is there a bilateral we've given to county and county shifts them over option?
Yeah, well, we just got a letter from the county to the county executive saying they have the staffing crisis down there. Over the COVID, now they don't have enough staff. Crisis throughout the county. We had an issue at Emerald Hill School this past week. Had a father and their child walked to the school and struck by the mirror of a vehicle, and it doesn't sound like it was moving very fast. But we're having a lot of issues in school zones. The number one was speed and or congestion. People get frustrated when they see the congestion, so they'll pass or they'll speed up. And I mean, we have 5 school zones in the city, and we at most will have 3 officers on everywhere. So I was just curious as to if there would be support to looking into photo enforcement in school zones. That would be something that I know we did that before, John, and I don't know what happened with that. I know that was early on in tenure, but that might be something. And the one I keep thinking about is on 199. Every time we do a radar survey in there, the 85th percentile, 85% of the people are doing 38 miles an hour, which is 13 over the regular speed limit and 18 over the speed. So, and there's strategically no real good place for a police officer to work. He'd use like a alleyway or something like that where you can be safely off the road, a wide shoulder. Just not conducive for that. If we end up getting our motor back, staffing, we can put a motorcycle up on the sidewalk, but then you got kids walking to school. It's just not real conducive for traffic enforcement. Might be something that also may want to look at, maybe not. I don't know what the thought is. I know there's varying thoughts on photo enforcement, Big Brother issues. I know they're not hugely popular at red light at intersections. That might have to look at. Well, my opinion is they do make it safer, and I know they impact drivers' behavior. Those lights flashing in school zones, you can definitely slow down, especially if you know there's. We do have a joint project with Pierce County Council that Councilmember Morrell had agreed to pay for half of the flashing beacons at the Mountain View Middle School and Bonney Lake High School. So it's kind of an interesting situation because on one side of it is Pierce County, on one side is Bonney Lake, so it's a little difficult. And we had differing signage, so it was very difficult for officers, even if they did catch, were able to catch somebody, depending on which direction they were going, whether we could charge them in or code or not by the language. So this way, the language will be the same. It will say when flashing. It'll be programmed to be flashing, prior to school, at the beginning of school, and prior to it letting out, and right when it lets out. So it'll be a limited time, but at least we get people hopefully to slow down. So maybe we're getting those installed and see if that has an impact on it before we look at the photo enforcement. I just wanted to kind of plant that seed that is another option out there. But again, somebody has to review those tickets. Usually what you do is you have companies come out and give you a survey so they can tell you how many violations you're having per day. You can kind of look at that and see if we can manage the workload with our current staff. Things to consider if.
I had a question then. So, I'm assuming the flashing lights, is different than with photo enforcement.
Correct.
Okay.
There's no enforcement with it. The beacons
Okay.
would be there even
Yeah.
if we do photo enforcement.
Okay.
But this one is just to kind of, hey, reminder, it's a school
Okay.
zone. Because right now all we have is just the signs that say school zone. And
Okay.
then we're starting to replace them citywide,
Mm-hmm.
but that is one that really needs a project with Pierce County. Hopefully we'll do a survey after it's been there, and then we'll do a survey a couple months later to see where we're at, to see if it's impacting.
I honestly would be surprised if people actually slow down with the flashing. I think people still see not attached. But I think the photo enforcement, because it sounds like it is an automatic ticket. It's just the issue of who would be handling.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's something that wouldn't be out inside the court because it's not issued by the court. It would be issued. It's like a parking ticket.
Yeah.
So it
Okay.
would be issued, but the officer or somebody would have to view it to ensure that the violation occurred. Then they would put their name on it, certifying they would watch the video and check the radar and make sure everything was all right before they issue.
I did notice that there used to be a motorcycle, because that's my neck of the woods, and so the motorcycle cop would definitely be like where my street is, and then catching people that way. And I haven't seen a motorcycle cop there in a really long time. I don't know, did something change or was
Our
that
motorcycle got retired,
okay?
and we haven't had anybody that's been able to. We had an officer take the course, but on the last day tipped the bike over and was injured.
Oh, okay.
So did not complete the training, and
Okay.
we have not sent them back because then we had COVID on top of that.
Gotcha.
And so we kind of scaled back our traffic.
Okay,
And
good to know.
that's
That definitely
evolution.
stopped speeding as I will
I would agree.
because
The
he was there
motorcycle is
so
very good. And,
regularly,
when
yeah.
you get stopped by an officer, there's a chance you can talk your way out of it. You get stopped by a motor. They do, right?
Yes.
They issue traffic.
Mhm.
That's again something that changes. Not saying that we won't have somebody that's interested. Still have the motorcycle. We
Okay.
just don't have somebody certified that operates. Our officer is able to motorcycle endorsement for parades and things like that, not for enforcement.
I know heading eastbound on River Road, turning northbound on Meridian is always one I'm very cautious of. And I know that's a red light, but I know it
Same.
does affect behavior.
It
And not just
does.
at that intersection, it's all intersections, you're not sure which one.
Right,
It's
yeah.
the same
Yeah.
thing with, if we have that in their photo enforcement, it reinforces it. Could be.
In Puyallup, you guys used a company out of Arizona, didn't you? Pretty happy with them?
Yeah, they did a great job. It is seen as a money grab, I know that. But I look at it from the safety aspect. If we have a speed survey, 85% of the people, and we all know that's the main way in and out of Holland.
Yeah.
Is there some of them go down Rhodes Lake Road, but most of them get on 410 right there at one.
Yeah.
A lot of traffic goes through.
I think they had to deactivate a lot of those. The photo.
Office of nothing.
Got a parking enforcement. I believe it made the intersection safe. We had data to show that accidents dropped in those intersections, other intersections for that matter. Something to consider.
How would you want to bring that forward if it was something we considered?
We could check and maybe do an RFP and have even see if it would be worth it.
Yeah.
Because obviously they get a cut, and if it's not worth it to them, they're not interested. Those zones, I would think that Bonney Lake Elementary, middle school, Lake Ridge. I don't believe the road is ours, right, John? It's Manatee County, so we couldn't do it at Lake Ridge. Victor Falls is on a dead end, so we can't do it there. That would pretty much be all, maybe three of them.
I'd be inclined to support an RFP for something like that.
Yeah, we can take a look at that. But I'd like to see if the flashing lights have any effect when we do it at. I don't think they're at Emerald Hills yet either, are they, John? I know we did the one on Bonney Lake Boulevard last year. We replaced it, but I don't think we've done the one in Emerald Hills yet. So we could do a survey after that, maybe in the spring. I could see where we're at.
That average 38 miles an hour. What time was that during school? During school time?
That was during the speed survey, so at all times.
Oh,
I didn't narrow it down, but my guess is it's going to be the same at school times as it is.
Yeah.
And it's at 25 miles an hour at 20. So we set it for 25 because that's
Yeah.
we don't look at the
Outside
specific
of the
time.
zone. Yeah.
And that's 85% of the people.
I do want to add just one more thing. I think even if we were to get the data and see that the speeding would be decreased just from the flashing lights, I still think people are just like at first they might slow down, but then as soon as people start to find out that there is no consequence attached, they just then start speeding after the fact. So I think that's I think the photo enforcement is preview, but I'm not against.
We have a
doing
flashing light in on Sky Island Drive. Like it's always I kind of play games with it, and I'm like, gotta make sure I'm going the speed limit. I don't want it to start flashing at me, So I always slow down.
Oh, I
for
see
it.
people bomb and then.
Yeah, I see a little bit of both. I know that it does because it reminds you of your speed. So I have people slow down, and I've seen other people not pay any attention. We have it locked out at 35. Whenever I hear it, somebody went through at 60.
Oh, okay.
It just says slow down after 35.
Okay.
I've seen kind of both too. It depends. It is a good reminder. It's better than not. Most of the streets in the city are very difficult for us to run traffic enforcement because, like Skyline, there's nowhere to do it unless you're on one of the side streets, and when somebody comes up behind you, you got to pull off. There's not a big enough shoulder unless you park in the gravel, which isn't safe. Same thing with Bonney Lake Boulevard and Locust, the shoulders aren't. There are a couple of spots. By and large, very difficult when you have long straight stretches.
Anything else?
So that's it.
All right, thank you. I'll give you guys an update real quick to get done with the replay. 7-5.
Oh.
All right, we'll go now to item number 3 on reports, which is the Emergency Management Monthly Report. Regine.
Alrighty, so I'm super excited to let you know that our website update is complete for management. So it's all built out. So our Bonney Lake Alert now has a home where we can send people to register. So it is officially live. Leslie and I are working on a press release for it. But if someone at this point were to come upon it, they can register. I think you went ahead and registered.
Yeah, I did,
for it.
yeah.
So was it a pretty easy process for you?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Awesome. So, and you know, on the page, we also are still encouraging people to still sign up for CC alert because the Pierce County alert is where everybody's in both systems. And we are advertising that. So within our Epic group, we're jointly advertising. So there's actually a landing place on the Epic EOC website as well. So if somebody were to go over to Epic EOC, they can sign up for Bonney Lake, Sumner, Ording when they're live, Buckley. They can kind of do it all from the same location. So we're excited to finally be live with it. So that's Bonney Lake Alert. We will be scheduling a meeting here pretty quick with all of our folks who are trained for sending messages, so we can make sure everybody's on the same page and we're all alerting in the same fashion and just ready to go. So we're excited to have that ready before winter. Our CEMP, Comprehensive Emergency Management Plan update, is now officially moving. We actually had our first kickoff meeting at our monthly emergency management committee meeting, but the Epic group as a whole has their large jurisdiction and stakeholder kickoff meeting scheduled for October 20th. So some of you are receiving invites to that. It's virtual or in person, but they'll walk through the whole thing because it'll be a plan similar to the way we did the continuity of operations plan. There'll be one large Epic-wide base plan, and then an annex for each jurisdiction under. They'll identify roles and responsibilities by department for during a disaster. So we're pretty excited about it. The state is partnering really closely with us on it because we're one of the first coalitions, and especially at this size, to do a joint CEMP in this fashion. So they're working side by side with us. So we're excited. We do have to have that completed and to the state for review by December 2023. A little over a year to get that completed. We had a really good turnout for our our EOC team training last month, and we actually did an exercise. We were able to focus it in on. We had a red flag warning issued that weekend, and so the exercise we had identified previously, we kind of scrapped, and we just went to, okay, so there's a chance for warm weather and possibly a red flag warning, and how would we do this, and walk through some scenarios. So we did a tabletop exercise, EOC team. We had a lot of lessons learned. So it was a very good meeting. I drafted an EOC activation plan, Epic team, because we're trying to have all of our activation plans resemble. So if we needed assistance and someone needed to come help us in our EOC, they would be familiar with the plan, and vice versa. So like if Buckley needed assistance in their EOC, our team would be well trained in the plan, so they would already know how to plug in and help. So the draft EOC activation plan that I came up with, we're actually going to be using that version and then moving forward with updates. So we will have it ready in the next few weeks, actually. So again, we're kind of aiming for getting a lot of these activation tools in place before winter season hits us, so everyone's kind of on the same page and able to move if we need to. We do have some EOC ICS training coming up, and we did have some folks from our jurisdiction sign up, which was exciting, but not enough. We still have a lot more folks who need more training. So we have put forward our Epic group have actually put forward to receive funding from the county training and exercise committee that would pay to bring in instructors to offer more of the incident command system training to our EOC team. And we are also looking at including in that what's called ICS 402, which is incident command system for elected officials. So when we have that scheduled, that one probably won't be until spring, just being structured timelines. But when we do have it scheduled, I'll let you all know. It's an in-person training, a lot of really good information for the policy level. So, and then just last but not least, October 20th, like we discussed last month, October 20th is our great shakeout exercise. So it's on 10:20. At 10:20, we drop, cover, and hold for a minute. So now that I'm back and getting everything under wraps for tomorrow, I will be sending that out to all of our and all employee email, so everyone has the information. And we will be also practicing to send out an internal message to our staff through our Bonney Lake alert system, so we can test that system as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for all that.
Absolutely.
It's like a bunch of different websites on here. Is it the Epic EOC? Is that the new one?
So our new website is just on our Bonney Lake website. There's actually an emergency management tab. And it's broken out by, building a kit and being informed and all of those steps, along with some important resources, contacts. So the being informed, everything will lead, that's where all of the advertising we're doing will lead them to that Be Informed page, and they can sign up for alerts there. The Epic EOC website is the landing page that has all of the cities, and so they can go there and register for others.
And just the first 2 weeks of training is just acronym
Yeah.
recognition.
So many.
All right, thank you so much.
Yes.
We'll go on to item number 4, Prosecutor's Office Monthly Report.
Great, thank you. All right, so in September, we had a total of 429 court hearings. 44 of those were arraignments, so that's a new charge that has been filed. We had 134 pretrials, so those are cases that are ongoing where a disposition has not yet been entered. And then we had other various review hearings, sentence compliance, bench warrant quashes, etc. Some of the things that are going on in our office, we have a DUI trial scheduled for October 21st, which is a Friday. Trials are open to the public, so if you'd like to come watch, you're welcome to do so. We also have 2 cases that are on appeal. We had 3 trials kind of towards the beginning of the year in the post-COVID period. 2 of them are being appealed right now in Superior Court. One of the appeals is this coming Friday, and then we have another appeal scheduled in November. Then we also have an extreme risk protection order hearing next Tuesday in Superior Court. And I've been told we may have another new extreme risk protection order case coming down the pipeline. We've been working on continuing work on body worn camera logistics. We have it pretty much nailed down for getting it from the Bonney Lake Police Department, but for DUI cases, sometimes there's an officer from another agency. So we have one DUI case where there was a Pierce County person. We had another one where there was a Buckley officer. So we're having to set up the logistics in order to make sure we're getting body worn camera footage from those agencies so we can provide it to defense. And then we've also our contract prosecutor, part of the Blake decision, that was the case from last year that basically made the old drug possession law, found it unconstitutional. We have to go through all of the old cases and determine if there's a dismissal or vacation. Dismissal would be pretrial, vacation would be post-disposition, and set a hearing for all of those. So there's money that the city has from AOC, the Administrative Office of the Courts. So we're using those funds, at least our office is using a small portion of those funds to have a contract prosecutor go through all those cases, determine if a hearing needs to be set, and then work on setting those hearings.
What would trigger that if someone pled out they would have likely acknowledged it, I would imagine.
Correct, but the RCW was still found unconstitutional, so there's, even if they pled guilty and admitted to it, they're still entitled to have it vacated and off the record, and they can have the legal financial obligations that they paid reimbursed.
Wasn't the whole Blake decision knowingly in possession?
So it didn't have the intent element in it, and the court said, the Washington State Supreme Court said that was basically unconstitutional to not have the intent element in it.
Okay, but admitting to it
Even
didn't bypass that.
no, there's no.
How many, do you know approximately how many cases like statewide? I mean, we're talking
It's a ton.
tens of thousands.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
guessing.
a huge,
Going back to when?
at least 10 years
Yeah.
since the statute existed.
Seem like that follows lines.
That's
Well, of course not. It's government. Those two can completely exist independent of each other. All right, thank you. Anything else for prosecutor here? All right, we'll go into action and business items. AB 22-146, Resolution 3094, an interlocal agreement with Washington Traffic Safety Commission. Chief Jeter.
Thank you. This is our annual agreement. Distracted driving. Help with.
All right, is this 301 pages? I don't remember if this is on tonight's or not.
Yeah, it's on
Okay.
consent tonight.
Item number 2, AB 22-150, Resolution 3095, an ILA with the housing agreement with SCORE. Chief Jeter.
Also on tonight's agenda.
I did see.
This is just, they're changing their rates like everybody else are raising.
Item number 3. Yeah, that's already on tonight, yeah. Item number 3, AB 22-151, Resolution 3097, agreement with the DEA to participate in the Tacoma Regional Narcotics Task Force.
This is also on State and Drug Task Force. All these folks operate on the fiscal year rather than the calendar year. That's why we're getting a bunch of these here. And so this just renews our agreement.
Tonight. Item number 4, AB 22-136, Resolution 3088, a intergovernmental agreement with EMAC and PNEMA assistance between Washington Military Department and Bonney Lake regime.
More acronyms. For
Yeah.
you. So it's yes. So EMAC is the emergency Pacific Northwest Emergency. EMAC is made up of all 50 states, so Guam, and then PNEMA is essentially West, also includes. So what this IGA allows us to do is we can either request assistance. So if we had an incident large enough that local resources and even state resources are overwhelmed, they could request resources for us from other states, so we could then receive those resources. We can also offer resources. So as an example, down south, they have their ongoing water issue, and they have sent through EMAC requests for water engineers, public works engineers to come in and help. So we're not sending resources for that, but that would be an example of a resource request. It went out to all 50 states and anyone can assist. So this IGA allows us to either request or offer assistance throughout, across state lines, and then into British Columbia and Yukon.
So this is basically FEMA, but instead of federal, it's individual states.
Yeah, state
Okay.
to state essentially,
Okay.
before including FEMA.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's on tonight's consent agenda?
It's actually on for the 25th.
Okay. On consent?
Yep.
Okay. That's the finance team. All right. That's consent for Tuesday. You said the 25th?
Yeah.
Right. Item number 5, AB 22-149, ordinance D 22-141, ordinance amending Bonney Lake Municipal Code 9.13. Dina Burke.
All right, thank you. So as I alluded to earlier, in 2021, the state Supreme Court found the strict liability part of the drug possession law unconstitutional. The kind of immediate fix to this was that the legislature added the intent element to the RCW, but they also there's now a requirement that when an officer comes upon a person, with drugs, they have to do the 2 referrals first before it can go down the path of criminal charges. There's no statewide program for tracking these referrals. And so, as a result, there's been a lot of concern, statewide about increased drug use in public. There was a child in August, a 2-year-old at a park who happened to pick up a fentanyl pill that was in the dirt and put it in their mouth and ingested it.
Oh, wow.
And so the city of Kent in early September, they passed several ordinances because as municipalities, we can do so. We can pass ordinances to make certain conduct unlawful and make it a misdemeanor. So this is largely based off of what the city of Kent did.
Okay.
The first one is, so these would all be new parts of chapter 9.13 in Bonney Lake Municipal Code. The first one is use of dangerous drugs in public. That would be a misdemeanor. So in other words, using drugs in public, unless prescribed by a physician, would be a misdemeanor. And just a misdemeanor is punishable by a maximum of 90 days in jail and a $1,000 fine. The second one would be unlawful deposit of dangerous drugs and drug paraphernalia. So, if a person's like dumping it in a park or on the street or in a lake or river, that would be a misdemeanor. The third one would be unlawful to aid or abet furnishing certain drugs to persons in jail or custody of police. So if a person's in police custody, maybe they've been taken into custody by the bailiff down in the court. If somebody tries to provide them with drugs, that would be a misdemeanor.
Can you read that one over again?
Oh, yeah.
The title?
And this is in the packet, but yes,
Okay.
It's unlawful to aid or abet furnishing certain drugs to person in jail or custody of police.
Okay.
The next one, I would kind of call this the no condoning a drug flop house, but basically it's places of resort for users of narcotics and or dangerous drugs declared a nuisance. So it'd be a misdemeanor to knowingly permit a residence, building, or premises to be used as a place for sale, gift, or use of dangerous drugs. So if a person who owns property knows that people are using it for illegal drug use, they could be charged with a misdemeanor. The next section, this could kind of somewhat similar. Basically, it would be the no being at a drug flop house. So it would be unlawful to frequent or be at a place where narcotics and or dangerous drugs are unlawfully kept, used, or disposed of. They would have to know that that's what's going on there, but a lot of times, I mean, with the photos you can take of a place, they would know.
Would our evidence room be in that list? It is a known.
Well, with the photos, we just use evidence.com, so we're not going to be taking up a ton of evidence space, hopefully. The next section is the drug traffic loitering. It would be a gross misdemeanor, so that's up to 364 days in jail and a $5,000 fine to intentionally solicit another to engage in conduct that violates these are basically the state drug laws, RCW 69.50, 69.41, and 69.52. And then the final section is just a severability section. Basically, if the Court of Appeals or State Supreme Court later says that any of these provisions are unconstitutional, the rest will remain. I think this would be a really good tool for the police and prosecutor to use to help keep the community safe.
I'm hopeful that the state legislature is going to make.
I'm just curious if we're hanging our hat on 3 state legislative RCWs right now, if that's the right angle for us.
I mean, at least those would just be for that one provision. So if they
Okay.
mess with those, you know, you'd still have, it's a misdemeanor to use drugs in public, a misdemeanor to dump drugs or drug paraphernalia in
Yeah.
public.
I like it.
Our 2 biggest things right now, if they're as an open. The other narcotics. Close a loophole, and I like that how it keeps it local.
Can we put this on, this is for the 25th agenda?
Yes.
Rather than consent, which I don't think anyone would have any objection to, I'd like for you to kind of do a little presentation so everyone knows the work that you did rather than just agree to it, because I think this is great work. I think this is stuff that we need heard out in public. I think,
Yeah,
you
they
know,
can hear
some praise for it. And you know, if you wouldn't mind, if we could put this on public safety, open, yeah.
So I would love to do that. The only problem is I am out of town on the 25th. So Josh can present it.
That's fine. As
Okay,
long as-
I
yeah,
just want to
wanna
make sure that
yeah.
you're okay with that.
I mean, it's going to pass. I just want to
Okay.
make sure we don't glance over it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
I can
want
make
you
sure
to-
he knows to.
I want
present
everyone
it.
to recognize the hard work and the attempts at what we're trying to do and correct the bad stuff. All right, thank you. Anyone else? No other business action items. So now we'll go on to open discussion. Allen York boat launch signage. I'm guessing that's you, John?
That's me.
All right.
Ryan wasn't able to make it. I think this is the final version of the sign, so I know it's been vetted and bantied about back and forth on several occasions. And Ryan just wanted to bring back the final version of the sign for you all to take one last look.
Okay.
Print it and post it.
All right.
You know, I saw
That's
that.
from your background.
You know, back and forth, and I saw that our Marines are high, but I'm not sure.
Just came with the packet, I didn't know if this was.
Jill says
Sunset,
8, John.
the code says 5.
Not the final yet.
Not the one.
Before we order the final.
Anyone else for open discussion?
So I got a, was 17877 Capitol Street. Off of
Traffic.
my. We could put like.
Were you not on the whole email?
Portable, huh?
You weren't on the email exchange?
No,
Okay, yeah, we resolved that day with speed signage.
oh,
Ryan got back to him on the speed bumps. That's not something that we do. It hinders law enforcement and emergency. But we were going to post a signage, the digital sign that we can do.
okay.
We're going to, I think you or Public Works was going to check to see if there was a post out there that was adequate enough.
Yeah, I know. And Casey has followed up. She's gonna call a couple of posts so we can put our radar sign. The street he's talking about, it's not very long. So the speed sign is really not gonna do a whole lot
Yeah.
because I'd be surprised if anybody gets up speed, but they do come off Myers Road a little quick, so I know that they reduce some trimming of trees and shrubs to kind of make it a little more open so people can see that there's houses there. They did install a couple of sign or posts on 182nd, which is the longer run that goes the whole way from Lake Bonney down to be able to do that.
Yeah, it seems like that,
Yeah.
that individual
Well, I got
emailed.
it just to me.
Yeah, I think
So
he or she sent it to each council member.
Okay.
And so, yeah, when I got it, I forwarded it to everyone. So, yeah, I should have
I didn't
CC'd you
get
on
it.
the,
I'm
I
sorry.
didn't realize they sent it to multiple council members either. So,
For the
Sure.
update then. He did at some point said, thanks for getting back to me so quickly. And I was like, wow, okay, well, I waited a week before I emailed you.
Angela?
Yeah, thank you so much for sending us a video that was created by RF's elected officials and things like that. Is there anything that we can do doing the local elected leaders to send us a message?
They have a mayor's regularly, and obviously it would take
Yeah.
leadership from somebody to get the ball rolling. I'm not so sure. I think maybe some with the lead on that. Having somebody take the lead.
Yeah, I think what I liked the most about the video is it's just very informative to the citizen as to what exactly they can do. I liked at the end how they, put that you really do need to contact your legislative representative. But not only that, but it just explaining, just have all out pursuits, but just what the purpose of it. They did a really good job describing why crime has been going up and just.
Yeah, it's not very.
Yeah, but it was highly informative, very well made, and I just wonder, who we can get together with and who we can contact. I haven't really heard anything
Sergeant Cohen can do the video side of it.
Yeah, I would think maybe effective.
Yeah, I
who's
think
interested could
something
be
recent.
instrumental.
I know the mayor, I mean, not on this topic, but the mayor just recently attended I think it was called the Mayor's Exchange, that the mayor was on
Okay, do you
Yeah,
know
that was
if
in
they're-
Central Washington, right? Or that was in Yakima or something over there.
no, that was the AWC mayor's.
Oh, okay.
AWC had a mayor's meeting.
Oh, okay.
This was one that was just held down in.
Oh, okay.
Well, because one of the people on the AWC board, I think, what is he, the mayor of Marysville? He was on.
I know, Bruce, I can reach out with that link and show it to him and try and encourage some others to forward him the same. But I think everything was great on that video, but were they showing clips? It seemed a little misleading because some of the videos of the car collisions, I would imagine at that point when they back into a police vehicle or ram another car, probable cause is established?
It's not.
Even backing into a police car, or
Yeah.
I mean,
Because they are
If there's
committing it.
nobody in the police car,
okay,
there is somebody in the police car.
yeah.
The prosecutor, not one of the crimes.
What are the more broader things you can pursue for?
Violent felony.
For sure, yeah, for that. But I mean, if it's witnessed, like someone literally backs into a car, crushes another car, jumps onto a sidewalk, that's not a violent.
If it hits
felony?
somebody, it is. But if they don't, it's just property. Light of it, that's significant property damage.
Yeah.
But in the light of the legislature's eyes, it's not a violent individual. Potential is certainly there.
Yeah.
It's reckless.
Wow.
Reckless endangerment, but that's not one of the things. Violent felonies.
Yeah, that's thanks.
I don't believe right now domestic violence is.
I mean, at that point, the victim is no longer,
Just doesn't meet their threshold.
Right, yeah.
What the player wanted to allow pursuits for.
prison.
It's a shame. I mean, I don't know that they can point to, in Washington State, a lot of pursuits that injure parties. Yes, they are dangerous, and that's why, especially our philosophy here, that we didn't chase for minor things. If we got behind a stolen car and we would initiate a chase, if it was 3 a.m, there was nobody else on the road, we'd probably continue that chase. It's 5 p.m. and it's rush hour traffic. We're not going to continue that. The dangers are too great, and that's what we drill into the officers. I know it's pretty universal, at least in Pierce County. From if the danger of the pursuit is more dangerous than the crime that they are pursuing for, we call it off before this legislation. Now we're not given a choice unless it meets this very strict criteria. There is no, and I get the reason for it, but I'm not aware of any data that they pointed to in Washington State where we were having a plethora of irresponsible chases where officers were just willy-nilly chasing people were getting injured. They are inherently dangerous. Nobody likes them. But if there's no repercussions to it, there's got to be a balance in that.
Anyone else for the good of the order? We got some bad news on the Mariners front.
No.
Yeah.
Bottom of the ninth.
A $25 million man on his second pitch.
Yes, I'm sorry. We are adjourned. Yes.
Bummer.
Yeah.
About